Before we get into the main topic, I have three things to say. Number one, thank you. From a time standpoint, this channel has been doing very well, and I appreciate each and every one of you for watching my videos, so thank you. Number two, I'll be doing a Q&A soon. I already have a few questions piled up, but leave questions down below if you have any. It can be personal, of course, use common sense, or about any subject relating to health, or training, as I'll explain in a second. So number three, would you be interested in fitness content? I have a lot of knowledge in regards to training because I've been researching the subject for a long period of time, primarily strength training, but usually that training applies to all fields, so to speak. So if you're interested, leave a comment saying that you're interested, because that's how YouTube works. Oh, let's get into the main topic. Now, fatty acids, or you know what, let's start with fat. This won't be like the vitamins or minerals video. I'll be sharing a bit of general knowledge about both fat and amino acids, and then I'll get into the specifics, but oh well. So one thing I want to note on is saturated fat. Now, most of you have probably seen studies linking heart disease and diabetes to saturated fat, but have you ever actually researched saturated fat and looked at what it really is, or the difference between saturated fat and unsaturated fat? See, is saturated fat really one single molecule? No, it's not. Palmitic acid, butyric acid, and lauric acid are three saturated fatty acids with completely different molecular structures, hence they do completely different things in your body. Now, if a study says that saturated fat causes heart disease or diabetes, and it's usually epidemiology, we'll make a video about epidemiology in the future, but oh well. If a study says such a thing, can it really be true? I'll let you think for a moment. No. No, it cannot. The answer is no, because you can't isolate saturated fat. What you can do is look at what a certain population, so usually fat Americans, are eating, and if they're eating a lot of saturated fat, then, they're gonna link it to heart disease, and then they're gonna write it in studies and use it for financial purposes. But we know that it's not about macronutrients, it's about foods. So when it comes to fat, first of all, the less you cook it, the better. If you eat it raw, it's gonna be in its best form. You cannot say that any type of fat is healthy, because we're all different. I, for example, do not react well to coconut oil, but I can eat half a kilo of butter in 2 days and I'll feel great, or animal fats in general. And many of you probably work the same way, or in another way, and so on and so on. Now, the reason you don't want to cook fat is because it gets oxidized and you lose electrons, and you never want to lose electrons when it comes to food, and or electrons in your body, but that's a topic for another video. Well, so that's generally some advice regarding fat. But I have two fatty acids that I would like to, well, talk about, and they're DHA and conjugated linoleic acid. Now, first of all, DHA is the form of omega-3 you have in your body. But DHA is not the only form. There's alpha-linolenic acid, and there's EPA, and then there's DHA. So ALA, EPA, DHA. ALA has to be converted into EPA, and EPA has to be converted into DHA. Plant foods only contain ALA. Each conversion, or when ALA is converted into EPA, you lose 20% of ALA, and then same thing with DHA. So you've got 20% on 20%, and that leaves us with Well, if you eat 100 milligrams of ALA through nuts and seeds, you'll only get 4 milligrams of DHA, which is an absurdly small amount of DHA. You want at least 300 milligrams if you're gonna. Well, when it comes to how much DHA you need, it's of course individual, but you need more than 4 milligrams, I can tell you that. So that's why vegans usually run into problems when it comes to brain function, and it's primarily because of, well, that we've been lied to when it comes to omega-3 sources, because the conversion is very, very, very inefficient. So that's just one thing to remember when planning your diet or changing it, and so on and so forth. Now, conjugate, or you know what? I've written down a bunch of things that the HA does. We'll go through them, but the most important thing to note is that it's not like your brain needs omega-3 for a certain function. It's composed of DHA. One of the primary molecules that constitutes the brain is DHA. So you literally need it. It's a part of your brain and your nervous system and your retina. So it's important for all of those functions. Now it has other functions like phototransduction, so seeing things, of course relating to the eye. It's needed to transport choline, glycine, and taurine, and it's needed for phosphatidylserine, and it's an important. It's needed for neural signaling and neurotransmitter synthesis, but of course that's not the only thing regarding brain health. But oh well. You get the point. Now, conjugated linoleic acid is a fatty acid that is only found in animal foods and has been shown to have great benefits. I'll be linking an article. I won't be talking about it because you'll hear things like lowering the risk of heart disease, and no one wants to hear that, because literally everything you do for your health will lower your risk of heart disease. So I guess you don't want to hear that. Oh, well, let's get into amino acids. Now, one thing to realize is there are 8 essential amino acids, you could say. And, I mean, if you want to see the list and the composition of each food when it comes to those amino acids, you can go into Chronometer, because it surprisingly shows you the ratios. But those 8 ones are, some of them are at least lysine, leucine, arginine, glutamine, methionine, cysteine, all of those. Now the thing is, there are amino acids that can only be obtained through animal foods, and they're also, I would say, essential to get in healthy amounts. Now vegans usually don't have problems with these, but I'm pretty sure a long-term vegan will have problems with these, especially because, one usually notices muscle decay when it comes to these people who have been vegan for a very long time, and I'm pretty sure it has to do with these 4 amino acids, which again are only found in animal foods. And you'll never hear anyone talk about them. I've only seen them mentioned in one YouTube channel, and that's why I wanted to research them and see for myself if what this person was saying is true. And now I'll provide that information to you. So the 4 amino acids that vegans literally can't obtain are taurine, glycine, carnosine, and carnitine. And let me go over them fairly quickly. We don't want to make the video too long. Now, taurine. Taurine is, of course, like all of these, found in breast milk when the mother is healthy. And one general piece of knowledge that you need to know is that breast milk will only contain nutrients if the mother eats nutrients. So if you're B12 deficient, breast milk will of course not contain B12, and your child will become B12 deficient, and your child will not develop properly. So if you're a mother, you have a very big responsibility to eat healthy, because you're affecting another person's life greatly. And the reason I might get a bit emotional here is because my mother, of course, did not take care of herself when I was in her stomach, so to speak. I'm not sure I worded that correctly. Oh well. Now, taurine reduces the secretion of apolipoprotein B100, a major risk factor for heart disease. It's extremely important for muscle function, it's extremely important for nerve function, and it reverses diseases related to the nervous system. And it has an extreme amount of functions, just like all minerals and micronutrients in general. Glycine, building block of glutathione. So glutathione is the master antioxidant. I went through that in the minerals video. I'll be making a separate video about that in the future. It's needed for calcium absorption. It's a precursor to many proteins, just like all minerals. And just to explain something, proteins are not, the protein you eat. Proteins are literally, enzymes are proteins. DNA is composed of, you could say, proteins. So proteins is just a word for your body's building blocks in general. I'm not sure if all of that was 100% correct. I'll be linking an article about the chemistry of amino acids and fatty acids if you want to check that out. Oh well. Now then, it inhibits NMDA receptors from being overstimulated, just like magnesium, and it's found in prostate fluid, and it's important for prostate health. Carnosine, it's an intramuscular buffer, so it neutralizes acidic buildup in the muscles when you exercise. Children with brain problems have lower carnosine levels, so that's something to note. And it has protective benefits when it comes to glycation. And glycation is basically why sugar is bad. When you eat sugar, you're spiking your blood sugar, and when the concentration of glucose goes up in your blood, glucose will start binding to cells, and that will cause extreme inflammation. So when you see aging and brown spots and all of that on your skin, pigmentation, that's all glycation. Of course, caused by high blood glucose. And the problem is, of course, your diet. Oh well. Carnitine. Low levels of carnitine are associated with male infertility, hence why animal products have historically and biologically always been very important for fertility. And they're always emphasized in indigenous tribes when it comes to fertility. It transports, carnitine, again we're at carnitine. Transports long-chain fatty acids to the mitochondria, so very important if you're a person who relies on fat for energy. And it regulates the ratio of acylocoenzyme A to free coenzyme A in the mitochondria. And coenzyme A is needed to produce ATP. And this entire thing is important because it allows for the removal of short and medium chain fatty acids from the mitochondria. And it also allows the mitochondria to have sufficient coenzyme A levels to support energy metabolism. Now we're finally done with this 3-video part library. Now you can finally go back to any video whenever you want, and you can check out what a certain vitamin or mineral, fatty acid, amino acid does. Now we have that library. Oh well, in the next video we'll be doing a Q&A, and in the video after that I'll be beginning the series about organs and telling you how they work. Because remember, when you know how you work and what you need, you'll be able to make correct decisions. Over and out for now.